With Paul Stirling smashing 100 off 71 balls, Middlesex thrashed Leicestershire at Grace Road by 10 wickets to send the home side to their first defeat of this summer's Yorkshire YB40 competition after they'd won their first 3 encounters. Neil Dexter inserted after winning the toss, leaving it to his attack to see if they could put a stop to Josh Cobb, who'd begun this season's 40-over tournament with 3 successive centuries. He hit the first ball of the match for 4 and then settled in with Niall O'Brien to put on 55 runs in the first 7 overs. Cobb had hit an incredible 365 runs in 3 innings at an average of 182 before his amazing run of big scores was ended by James Harris on 25 this time. Greg Smith kept the run rate up on his arrival to the crease, however, depositing Tim Murtagh for a straight 6 as the 100 was posted in the 16th over. But Murtagh exacted his revenge by having Smith caught behind at the second attempt by Adam Rossington, the batsman departing for 26 ball 30. And then the Foxes lost their way completely. In the next over, O'Brien on 41 got a leading edge off Gareth Berg to give Chris Rogers a simple catch. And 3 balls after that, Joe Burns edged Berg to Ollie Rayner to go for a duck at 103 for 4 in the 17th over. So now Leicestershire had to rebuild. Matt Boyce and Shiv Thakur added a steady 30 runs, but in 8 overs before both fell to Rayner. Thakur chipped to Berg at short fine leg, while Boyce was LBW after being hit on the bat leg to leave the Foxes on 138 for 6 after 27 overs. That bright start had been forgotten by now. Michael Thornley tried to restore the innings by driving Rayner over long off for a maximum. But the wickets kept on coming. In the 33rd over, Rob Taylor gave Rayner a catch in the covers off Murtagh. And in the 36th, the former Middlesex man, Anthony Ireland, scooped Toby Rowland-Jones out to Stirling. Ireland caught by a man from Ireland. Jigger Naik tried to ensure that his side posted at least a respectable total by belting Rowland-Jones' length ball into the bleachers. But Naik was out the penultimate ball of the innings after Thornley had gone for 39 in the previous over. Leicestershire were, therefore, all out for 220 with 1 ball of their innings remaining. The host then dropped Stirling before he'd scored, Smith with the spill off Ireland. And how costly did that prove to be? Stirling decided to go crazy and smash the next 3 deliveries for 4. The Irishman is making a name for himself in one-day cricket, both domestically and for his country, and this was to turn out to be a day for him to remember very fondly. For after this hat-trick of boundaries, he never looked back. He received fantastic support from his opening partner David Malan, who came within 4 runs of hitting 100 in last week's comprehensive win over Yorkshire at Radlett. He drove the ball beautifully to continue his form and to prove that Leicestershire's total was nowhere near good enough. Stirling, who back in 2010 struck 177 in a one-day game for Ireland against Canada, was first to his 50, for which he'd needed only 29 balls, largely because he kept on hitting the ball for 4. This shot off a gift of a ball from Thornley, bringing him his 9th in his half-century. By the time that Milan reached his second successive one-day 50 or 58 deliveries, Stirling was already into the 80s and the game as a contest was over, with the Panthers making it to 146 without loss after 20 overs, leaving only 75 more to get off the next 20. So now eyes turn to Stirling to see how many he might end up with. 2 more boundaries in 3 balls off Robbie Williams, his 13th and 14th, took him to 3 figures off just 71 deliveries. It was a quite brilliant knock, and how nice it was to see his fellow countryman, O'Brien, applaud him from behind the stumps. He was one man who's seen Stirling at full flow before, and he would have been well aware of this man's talents. It was awesome stuff, with his 100 coming out of the 160 runs, which were now on the board in just the 23rd over. And the Irishman still didn't take his foot off the gas. In fact, he now started to produce the amazing, with Ireland having no idea how to stop him. The Panthers may have made a slow start to this season's competition, but they are now beginning to look very good. Amazingly, this pair waited until the 27th over before hitting their first 6. Milan the man to do that, as he made sure that his former colleague, Ireland, was not going to have a good day with the ball. By the end of the 27th over, the 200 had already been posted, and the game was won in the 31st, with quite rightly Sterling striking the winning boundary to take his side to a mightily impressive 10-wicket success. The partnership was also a record for the first wicket for Middlesex in one-day cricket. So with Sterling ending on a remarkable 132 and Milan a no less impressive 80, Leicestershire lost for the first time to stay 3 points off the top spot, but with 2 games in hand on Gloucestershire. Middlesex now have 2 wins from 5, both in their last 2 matches. They are now upwardly mobile.